Alright guys, welcome back once again to the hillside. Today's episode is going to be all about the first signs of spring and what has overwintered up in the garden. Some things may or may not surprise you. So right here in front of you, these are some, I believe, some Dwarf Narcissus flowers, little tiny yellow guys right here. And you wouldn't believe it, but last week it was 10 degrees. This was covered in snow. Yeah, we've had a couple of days. They actually got to 70, which is way above average. Now it's back to 45, which is more typical for late February. But anyways, this is the first signs. You always get these bulbs that are going to pop up, and I think it's more of just a timing as opposed to, you get a couple warm days and they're just going to jump up though. So it's always a kind of hit or miss whether or not we're going to get some more late, really cold weather coming in. So it's always a crapshoot with these guys when they come up so early like that. So there you go. But at least, you're seeing something growing, so it's giving you like a little bit of hope that maybe spring might actually be around the corner. But also with spring, other than your bulb popping up, I get a lot of these in my yard and flower beds especially. We always call them wild onions, but they're actually more closely related to a garlic, which are edible. You can eat them. The little bulbs are kind of hard. Native Americans used to eat them, so they're perfectly fine to eat, but they're also a pain in the butt to try to get out of your garden if you've ever tried to pull them up, because they are very prone to breaking off on the stem. So the bulb will survive, and then it's just going to keep regrowing. So unless you really get down there into nice loose soil or dig them up with a spade or a hand trowel or something, you're going to be fighting these things forever. So I'm going to show you something else over here that's really surprised for me how early they are actually blooming. But let me show you something over here. All right, so right here next to the house, even though I have this really deep layer of pine straw and mulch I put down in the fall, you can see these crocus here are actually blooming, and I swear they were not here 2 days ago. They just popped up out of nowhere. They're blooming, which is awesome because these are always the first things that bloom in the spring. As you see, they're kind of pale from not getting any light, so I'll try to move some of that off for them, give them a little chance to produce some chlorophyll. But yeah, so we got some blooms already. Late February, already having some crocus blooming in the garden here. This is zone 6B, 7A, depending on, it's pretty much right on the line. But anyways, show you what's up in the garden. Some things surprised me. I did not believe would actually overwinter, and quite honestly, I just kind of left them there to compost down and kind of rot, but they survived. And I'm going to show you huge surprises for me that I found in my garden this afternoon when I was just playing around in the dirt. Hey, actually, before we go up to the garden, this is this hellebore, or hellebores, whatever. First year this one has bloomed. Last year it was just did not put any blooms out. It was just a little seedling. But this thing has gotten huge, put on nice little flowers. This one here next to it actually already bloomed a couple times. It has some flower buds, but I think what the problem was, it was budding out and just about to bloom right when we got that super bad polar vortex Arctic blast that came through. And I believe it did stunt some of the flower bulbs. You see right there. They may recover, I don't know, but it won't be long. It'll put on some new growth, and it will put on some more blooms. This is the, I believe, pink ice hellebore. And I don't know where this one came from. If I grew this from seed or if this was I know I didn't plant it. I didn't buy a plant. This is either something that this plant over here that I did buy, the pink ice over here, either put a seed out, and this is just an offspring because they're hybrids, so they're not going to breed true to form. And I believe a long time ago, I bought some hellebore seeds and put them in here, and I think nothing ever happened. So this might have been one that just overwintered. Maybe it took 2 years or so for it to actually decide to grow. So nevertheless, it's here. So there's that. So yeah, but well, I got you right here. One last thing before we head up to the garden. This hydrangea, even though the deer ate the tops out of it, you can see it's starting to bud out and the buds are starting to swell up on it. So that's definitely another sign of early spring, time that's going to start happening. So I mean, if you ever wondered if your plants did survive, and look no further, these are the signs you need to look for. See these buds as they're swelling up here towards the base, and they're going to start, as they start the base, work their way up. If you look on the ground right there, it looks like a new shoot is actually trying to push through the mulch right there. So that's an exciting sign that this guy has indeed survived. So without any more distractions, let's actually go to the garden this time, and I'll show you what I found this afternoon. Oh, right. So first off, obviously, we all know kale and the other brassicas are very cold hardy, and this is no exception. This curled kale It's doing fantastic. It has survived. There is a little bit of discoloration on some of the leaves that were the most affected by the ice and the snow, but nonetheless, it's putting on new growth already. And I believe I'm actually going to harvest this pretty soon to make some food out of it. So anyways, going here, obviously some garlic has actually popped up really early. So that's a good sign. Obviously the garlic has overwintered just fine. It's a very cold hardy plant anyways. And I believe these right here are shallots. Now these were store-bought shallots, so it was just fun, kind of an experiment. And yes, these were just planted in the fall and overwintered, and they're putting on new growth already, which is crazy because this was not here like last week. So this is all within a week. Anyways, all right, so let's go to the pallet garden and show you what I found growing still in there. Now you see right here, my experiment to see if I could overwinter some cabbage. I think I did plant these a bit too late in the season, but we had such a hot, dry fall. I kept trying to put it off as long as I could. But I mean, the cabbage, it seems like it's still alive. I mean, the leaves are definitely still very firm. They're still, you know, got life left in them. But you know, you'll see a lot of these older leaves on the bottom like this are just nasty, can need to be thrown away. So that, now just a note on this, as I do big advocate, I do promote chop and drop for your garden to leave the nutrients, you know, right where they came from. But I find in the early spring, especially, I mean, this isn't even early spring, right? This is late winter. Wherever you may or may not be located, the temperatures could have already warmed up, so lucky you. But anyways, I find this time of year where we do get a lot of spring rain, you start putting these old leaves on the ground as a chop and drop, you're just going to attract slugs, and they're going to destroy anything you try to plant. So for the early spring, I do recommend 100% remove these things, put them in a compost pile, put them in a worm bin, do something with them, but don't keep these in place. And also, when you're trying to overwinter things, like I'm trying to show you here, just, I mean, it can be just as simple as pulling off old leaves, or if you want to use some pruning shears, just cut them off, get them out. That's going to kind of reinvigorate the plant to kind of focus all the energy on the new growth, which will help it get up to an early spring start. Okay, so moving on over here, this is the flat leaf Italian parsley. It's a biennial, so it will overwinter. It's going to try to bolt and go to seed probably in June around here. So early in the spring, you can get some fresh leaves out of it before it does decide to bolt. When it does, you're not going to want to eat that because it's just going to be bitter and it's just not going to be appealing. But anyways, parsley does overwinter well up until I think zone 4, so, or maybe even zone 5. So I'm definitely safe. I've never had any trouble with parsley being killed off in the winter due to cold. All right, so checking this out over here, this is where the big surprise came. Late in the fall, I threw some turnip seeds down and some cilantro that were just kind of excess. I figured they would just kind of grow and use them as kind of a green manure, and they would rot in, and they would you know, die over the winter time. But I've already pulled some of these out. Look how big these guys are. These are the purple top white globe turnips, and this thing is, I mean, this is a baseball sized turnip. Okay, I've also pulled out some smaller ones, a little more typical to the size. A little bit more, maybe 2 golf balls, maybe a little bit bigger than a golf ball. But those are the ones you want to eat anyways. But I mean, just look at this right here. I got some more I pulled off. Healthy greens. I mean, if you look down here, more and more turnips. This cilantro here, all the cilantro overwintered perfectly. The turnips overwintered, which I thought, I could have sworn they were going to die or whatever, but they never, the tops never died off ever. I don't know, I attribute that maybe to the good soil, to the good location, whatever it may or may not be. Do give it a try if you really want to have some super early meals. So I'm going to cook some of these up, and actually this evening. But yeah, so I was not expecting to have fresh turnips in late February. So, but you will need to find out very carefully when you look at your plants right here. See that? That is a slug hole. That's a slug damage on this turnip right there. If you look down inside, you probably can't tell, but the slug is still inside of that. And obviously in this side, there's also slugs. If I can get a better picture for you, right there's another big slug hole. So overwintering turnips kind of be a crapshoot because you know, you're going to attract slugs because they're hungry as well, and there's not a lot of food this time of year for them, is, you know what I mean? So anyways, these are going to be thrown into the compost, and the greens, I'm just going to throw the greens in the compost as well, while I'm going to harvest the rest of my actual turnips to eat. So yeah, so that was a huge surprise. Show you a couple more things over here that did surprise me. This is the giant red leafed mustard. It's a very cold hardy brassica as well, so it overwintered. And I've already pulled some of these off, but like I mentioned before, like this right here, just going to pull this old nasty growth off. And that's going to be pulled over into the compost when I get a chance. When I finish recording this video, of course. But anyways, some crimson clover overwintered, using that as a cover crop. It's going to be tilled in or dug in earlier. And this is the last thing I'm going to show you that totally surprised me. This is actually mosh or mache. I had some really old seeds. I didn't think they were even viable. I threw them out there, and see this one, this guy? That one has survived. And looking right here, there's another one. There were 2 more. I actually transplanted those into containers. They're on my porch because I wanted to make sure that they actually had a chance to survive. And I might let those go to seed to kind of replace my seed stock as, like I said, I put like probably half a pack of seeds out and I had four plants germinate. But anyways, that's a super early green you can kind of count on, hopefully. And these are beets. They overwintered. They're not looking healthy really at all. I wouldn't eat the beet. It looks kind of woody and old, nasty anyways. But this one here is kind of promising as it's putting on some new green growth. So those might be some new baby leaves I'll be harvesting soon enough, whenever we do get a couple more days of warmness, as we're going to start staying in the upper 40s, maybe in low 50s for the daytime temperatures, flirting around frost, upper 30s at night. So it's really not warm enough to stimulate any kind of vigorous growth. But some of these cold hardy crops that did overwinter, as you can see, yeah, it's going to be hopefully an early spring after that. We had such a long cold winter. This is actually, well, I shouldn't say that. It's more of an average winter like we're supposed to get. We've had about 4 winters in a row that just were laughable. Let's be honest. They were very mild winters. So I guess we're getting a taste of our own medicine this year for once and for all. All right, guys. Well, I guess that just about wraps it up. I'm going to leave this video on a positive note with a nice blooming flower here, late February. Spring will be here soon enough, everybody, so hang in there. I know it's been a long one, long cold winter, almost over with. Won't be long till we'll be starting our seeds and getting our hands dirty once again. So from the hillside, hope you guys enjoyed this. Guys, take some chances, grow some things, see if they'll overwinter in your location, and go ahead and drop some comments down below if you've ever overwintered some things that you didn't think were possible, or other people told you, hey, you can't do that, and you proved them wrong. I love doing that. Hope you guys do too. Hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you did, consider subscribing, and hope to see you next time here on the hillside, guys. All right, bye-bye, and have a good day.